Today, we're going to take a closer look at the fascinating climate of Peru. This South American country is known for its incredible diversity, and its climate is no exception. From the dry desert coast to the towering Andes Mountains and the lush Amazon rainforest, Peru has it all. First up, let's talk about the Pacific Coastal Desert. This strip of land runs along the entire coast of Peru, from the northern border with Ecuador to the southern border with Chile. It's one of the driest places on Earth, with some areas receiving less than an inch of rain per year. That's crazy, right? But despite the lack of precipitation, the coastal desert has some pretty cool features. One of the most interesting things about the Peruvian coastal desert is the fog that forms along the coast. This fog is called garua in Peru, and it's caused by the cold water of the Humboldt Current. During the winter months, the cold water creates an inversion layer, where the air near the ocean surface is actually cooler than the air above it. This leads to the formation of thick stratus clouds that blanket the coast, creating a misty, drizzly atmosphere. The fog is a lifeline for the desert ecosystem. In a few special places, where the mountains come close to the sea, the fog condenses on the slopes and allows vegetation to thrive. These fog oases are called lomas in Peru, and they're home to a ton of unique plant and animal species. Some of these lomas can be pretty big, covering tens of thousands of acres. It's like a hidden world within the desert. The Andes run the entire length of Peru, and they cover almost a third of the country's total area. The mountains are seriously high, with most areas sitting above 10,000 feet in elevation. And if you thought the coastal desert was diverse, just wait until you see the Andes. The climate in the Andes varies a lot depending on elevation and location. In general, the western slopes facing the Pacific Ocean are drier than the eastern slopes. And as you climb higher, the temperature drops pretty quickly. For every 1,000 feet you go up, the temperature decreases by about 3.5 degrees Fahrenheit. That means that even though Peru is entirely within the tropics, the high elevations of the Andes can get really cold. One of the coolest things about the Andes is the number of microclimates you can find. Because the slopes are so steep and the elevation changes so quickly, you can experience totally different weather conditions just by moving a few miles. It's like nature's version of a choose-your-own-adventure book. The Andes are also home to some of the highest peaks in the world. Peru has 37 mountains that rise above 20,000 feet, and the highest of them all is Huascarán at a whopping 22,205 feet. That's taller than any mountain in North America. And with all that elevation comes snow. Above 16,000 feet, the mountains are capped in white year-round. Despite the harsh conditions, people have been farming in the Andes for thousands of years. The indigenous farmers have developed some pretty clever techniques to deal with the lack of a freeze-free growing season. They build terraces and raised beds to capture heat and allow crops like potatoes to grow at elevations up to 13,000 feet. That's some serious dedication. Finally, let's head down into the Amazon rainforest. This region makes up more than half of Peru's total area, and it's known for its hot, humid climate and abundant rainfall. The Amazon is the epitome of a tropical rainforest, with temperatures that don't vary much throughout the year and rain that falls pretty much every day. One of the most incredible things about the Amazon is the sheer amount of biodiversity it contains. The rainforest is home to an estimated 10% of all known species on Earth, including thousands of plants and animals that are found nowhere else on the planet. It's like a giant, living laboratory of evolution. But the Amazon isn't just one big, homogeneous block of forest. As you move up in elevation, the climate starts to change. Around 5,000 feet, the forest transitions into what's known as a cloud forest. This is a special type of rainforest that's characterized by persistent fog and mist, kind of like the lomas on the coast. The cloud forest is home to its own unique set of plants and animals, many of which are found nowhere else on Earth. As you keep climbing, you eventually reach the highlands, where the climate becomes subtropical. This is a zone that's often described as having eternal spring, with temperatures that rarely drop below 50 degrees Fahrenheit or rise above 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The rainfall is abundant year-round, making it a perfect place for agriculture. Many of the crops that we associate with Peru, like coffee and cocoa, are grown in this region. So there you have it, a whirlwind tour of Peru's incredibly diverse climate. But as amazing as Peru's climate is, it's also facing some serious challenges. Climate change is causing glaciers to melt at an alarming rate, which could have devastating consequences for the country's water supply. The coastal desert is particularly vulnerable as it relies on rivers fed by glacial melt for almost all of its water needs. The good news is that Peru is taking action to address these challenges. The government has developed a series of plans and strategies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to the impacts of climate change. And Peruvian researchers are working hard to understand the complex dynamics of the country's climate and develop solutions that can help communities thrive in the face of change. Thank you for joining us today. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content.